Welcome, Negronis with Nord, episode 34. I feel like maybe we need to change the name of the show. I'm very rarely drinking Negronis anymore. I digress. We have Sophie Wood in the house again. Welcome back for your maybe fourth episode, right?
Thanks for having me. Always a pleasure.
Stay tuned after the credits for Sophie's Don't Worry Darling review.
Hell yeah, that was strong.
I appreciate the hat. You're bringing it.
Bonjour.
Yeah, I mean, you're inspiring me. Maybe I will. Not that one. That would not be a good look for me. But
I know the hair height.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't have a face for hats. When you take the hair away, it's not good. It's you're just left with a face, and honestly. So yeah, when I do wear a hat, I wear a cowboy hat, which is basically a costume. And once again, nobody is looking at you. They're looking at your cowboy hat. Which, again, side note, it is wild how many compliments you get wearing a cowboy hat in New York City.
I love a good cowboy hat.
Yeah. I saw you shared Emma Chamberlain's house tour on your Instagram, right? And I think many people came to the realization in the last week that, holy shit, Emma Chamberlain is really, really rich. You had mentioned when we were talking about this, I wonder if there was a spike in Emma Chamberlain net worth searches on Google, and we looked it up, and there was an enormous spike in that. And I think, one, she's got great taste. The house is lovely, right? You co-sign. Gen Z, geriatric millennials, they love it all the same, This is a cross-generational interest. But it does seem like it maybe surprised some people. Is that accurate? Do you feel that way?
Yes.
That it did? Okay.
Yes.
What's so interesting about it is there's all this conversation about are people getting fatigued from influencers? Are they trying to follow influencers who have a job? We talked about that in the last episode. She has done something which is really difficult, which has become really successful, yet still feel like she has held on to her audience, which she built making pretty relatable content. I was not an early follower. I don't know how long you've been following her.
Oh yeah, I was an angel investor in Emma
There
Chamberlain.
we go. It does seem like she's been able to hold that audience in a way that a lot of influencers haven't. And a lot of influencers have gotten really, really rich. And their lives have changed dramatically. And they no longer look anything like their audiences. And I think Emma's audience maybe really fully realized that last week when they saw her house, that holy shit. To start off the conversation, as an angel investor, how did she do it?
I think when Emma started out, she was really young. She was 14. Obviously, at that point, you don't have dispensable income. You're living with your parents. You're living at home. And it was just vlogging alone in her bedroom and just having a conversation or sharing her interests or saying that she feels sad. And obviously, she got really big over the course of, I don't know, the last 8 years or something like that. I think she's 21 now. And she did a really good job of when she got richer and got successful, not making that the point of her content and having still something to say and something to connect with. Because something that we talked about was as a 21-year-old, her audience is probably around that age and doesn't have that same income. It's not going to be entertaining to them, and it'll probably be annoying to them if she's showing luxury hauls or talking about flying first class was a good example that you talked about when we were discussing this earlier. And I think it's that still making the core of her content something to say rather than something to just show off.
It's interesting how much restraint she shows, right? Because this part in her life must be super exciting. I mean, that shower she has is at least $100,000 of marble. And this is something you just, as you get older, you just learn. You can look at a shower and say, that's a $100,000 shower. How many times I've seen people going to the marble warehouse and picking their slab out, right? And they're they got the fucking crane and they're picking up this marble and they're which one should I get, A or B? And it's fuck yourself, I don't care. She didn't take anyone along for that journey. She doesn't really post in her house. She's at Paris Fashion Week right now, and she posted that a couple of Loewe looks, which I'm sure she got paid for, and then a photo of her in a hotel bed with the covers up to her face or something, right? She is not flexing on people, and she is making, I think, a really conscious choice to not share this stuff. Mm-hmm. Do you think she's been able to do a good job? Because she is working with Tom Brown, and she is getting dressed by Chanel. She is in this whole different space. Is there anything else you feel that the way she's approaching this life change that has made it work?
That's hard because I feel like it's the same. I feel like it is the restraint. Like, do you think there's something else to it?
I think restraint is huge. Actually, like, super impressed being as young as she is. And again, and how she's worked years for this. This wasn't like an overnight success. It would be exciting to be spending all of this money and to be able to afford these things. And she's not talking about it. I also do feel like there's like an attitude of like a sense of wonder and excitement still, that like it's exciting for her. So you feel excited for her. Influencers like unboxing like another Chanel bag or something. And it's just kind of like very much like it's a Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, I think, yes, I agree. And I even think the way she opened the Architectural Digest, it was like, come on in, I've been waiting for this my whole life. Like, she was still so excited. It wasn't like, hey, Dee, welcome to my home, like, la la la, another day in the life. It was like, you could tell she was so excited, and I think that makes her viewers excited for her, like, we got here together. And also showing in her content that she's still excited about really normal things. Like, when she goes to Europe with her dad, they're going into gift shops and buying little trinkets for $2 that like somebody else would be excited about that's watching her videos. And I do think it's definitely the restraint and the attitude.
And I think also like a willingness to make a fool of herself and be like playful, like, because there is like, if you look on her Instagram, it is like this mixture of like, it's a Vogue shoot she was in, and then it's like her in like Chucks doing something kind of silly and stupid and just being like a kid.
Yeah.
And she's like enjoying this new part of her life, but it's not like, it doesn't feel like she's trying that hard to like impress anyone. Something we were talking about is that so many of these like legacy influencers who've been doing it for 10, 15 years, you know, they now are making great money. Many of them probably making well over $1 million a year, living lives that are like completely unrecognizable to their followers, totally acceptable for your tastes to change and for your life to change, right? But how do you like take people along on that? And I think what we're seeing in TikTok, and I want your thoughts here, is that like this is happening much faster than it used to, right? Like if you were 22 years old and you started creating content when Tumblr came out in 2006, you probably didn't make a dime off of that content for 10 years because the industry just wasn't there. Now you start today, you get, you know, 250,000 followers in 9 months. You could start making a really good living, right? And so that those changes can happen much faster. Yeah. Like, are you seeing any backlash to these creators whose lives have changed really quickly and who are now like young and making a lot of money?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. There's a good example of that going around right now, which is Michaela. I don't know how to pronounce her last name, but she is like a very famous TikToker beauty person.
Oh, from Boston, right?
Yes.
Yes.
She blew up
she
in
like
the last...
came out of like nowhere.
Yes.
Great story.
She worked at... She literally worked
We
at...
can't talk.
No.
Just bleep it out. Sorry, Sephora.
She has said that she prefers Sephora over... So there's
Love
that.
to hear it.
Yeah, she worked a regular job and then was able to do content full time. But right now there's a sound bite of her going viral from a video that was so long ago of her saying like, I just got off of work and it's 5 o'clock. You try being an influencer for a day. Saying like, what I do is hard. And people are just ripping her to shreds, using that sound as like a meme. But also she did kind of fall into that. I now have an insane amount of disposable income, so I'm gonna buy Dior bags and Chanel and Gucci, and it's like I literally came to you for like makeup recommendations. Like I don't really care that you're flaunting this in my face. And I don't know, it's also funny. Last night I went to a concert and we ended up leaving early because it was like the speaking in between the songs was so like self-righteous and felt a little bit like you're here for me, blah blah blah. And I was like, I paid to be here. Like, why are you speaking to me like this?
Let's name names. Who was this?
I feel like it's similar, where it's kind of like, why are you flaunting this in my face? Like, I was here to support you, and now I feel weird and almost like offended by this.
Yeah.
Like, that's not what I came here for.
And I think influencers lose, and this is true of all artists, right? That like their audience gives them their lifestyle. I do think that people lose sight of that and they start creating content that is very like them focused and centric, right? Not like, how can I create something that is going to bring my audience, you know, some joy? We talk about like entertain, educate, or inspire, right? Often, I think the content I get frustrated with isn't doing any of that. It's literally bragging.
Yeah, and I think to that point, it's also like you can only say like this is only possible because of you guys so much. It's like I don't really care. Like I think people blanket the luxury hauls with like I'm so grateful. I know I'm so privileged. This is all for you. It's like, but that's also not what I came for. Again, to your point.
So how are you like centering that in your audience, right? I think we're in this period on social where like there is this like desire to brag and who's got the most stuff and who's spending the most money, and you know, super influencer Kim, like she's never been shy about flaunting. Like she drives that terrible fucking Lamborghini truck with like all the like matted out with all the like kit. Anyway, but yeah, they like lose sight of the audience, and I think they get so enamored with their life. And I think you have less time to create content. This is something we talked about before with Emma specifically. If you look at the videos, it was like 100 a year, 70, 50, 30, 5, you know? And it's like, yeah, it gets harder when you're sitting in the bedroom with nothing to do. You can create a video once a week, easy. When you're traveling around the world and you've got all of these commitments and you're on TV and you're in shoots, like it's harder. It is interesting to think how influencers can continue to center their content in their audience when their life no longer looks like their audience's. Yeah. Is there anyone else we can think of or like does that successfully? Because I think what's tough is you don't want to be inauthentic, right? You don't want to be wearing designer clothing every day and then doing like an Old Navy haul.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's not really gonna make sense.
I honestly think another example of it to me is Casey Neistat. Like, again, with the amount of videos is so few and far between now, but I think it does come down to you having something to say and the original thing that you connected to your audience with, and that being of substance and not being of luxury material. And like now that Casey Neistat is back in New York, made a YouTube video about it, I'm like stoked. I'm like the era is different. And that's someone who I've been watching for a decade. Yeah. And again, he has millions and millions of dollars, but that's not what his videos are about. Like I can tell that he is driving the new Land Rover Defender, but that's not what the video is about. Like it's about his love of New York, coming back here, feeling grounded again, feeling creative. That has nothing to do with your luxury haul. And so I think they're both, Emma and Casey are similar in that way, that they were able to keep the center of their content so grounded in like a mutual understanding or feeling or some kind of mutuality between them and their audience that has stayed consistent from beginning to here. And it's funny because like even Travis will be listening to Emma Chamberlain's podcast with his daughter in the car. It's like they just love hearing what she has to say because again, it's not about the luxury, it's about that mutuality.
Right. You know, for anyone in kind of any part of their journey as an influencer, I think just an important reminder to like be really explicit about like, why does my audience follow me? And making sure that whatever content you're creating is like fulfilling that need. You know, while you won't lose your audience instantly, I mean, I think, you know, Michaela, my mom sent me that TikTok account a year or 18 months ago or something like that and was like, this woman's so amazing. It's so great. She was like working at and now she's super successful. And I think I remember seeing a TikTok was like, I bought my first Chanel bag. And like that first time it's like, that's exciting. I'm proud of you. You deserve that. And you seem really excited. The 10th time, can we just get like beauty tips? Like we're proud of you to a point, but like you have to like modulate some of that, that content, right?
Definitely. And I think to your point about like the nature of TikTok, it's like you really have to be cognizant of that because you've talked about this before where it's like we are as an audience so down to hype people up to the point of then just like tearing them down right afterwards. It's like it can be the flip of a switch.
I mean, she's a great example. I mean, I feel like she was like, everyone was like, this is such a great story. We love this. We did this.
Right.
Like at TikTok, we did this. We changed this person's life. And then it was like, we don't like you anymore.
Exactly.
You're dead to us. It's something we talked about with Danye is that like creativity is really difficult over a long period of time, right? And that like the things that excited you about making content your first, second, third year maybe don't excite you in your 10th year. And I think what is difficult probably as an influencer is if what excites you is buying luxury products, you either have to like find a way to bring your audience along on that and teach them something. Like I have this this friend, he's a cyclist, but he used to work in luxury fashion retail. And he will often post like these YouTubes from like yesterday he posted one from Hermes about this silk marbling, which is like a way that they dye their silk scarves. And there's this one family of 3 who does this in Japan. It's the only people left in the world that do this. And the creative director had found this family in this like small city in Japan that like was struggling to keep the factory alive because it's like such an antiquated way to dye silks. And Hermes had like, you know, contracted them and they were making this beautiful art together. And he was like, this is what I miss about sometimes working in luxury fashion, is that like it can be an art form, right? And you can teach people. If your life isn't relatable, right, you have to probably find a way to make it relatable if that's what you're passionate about. Something I talk about Brian Boy a lot. He has this whole shtick of just kind of like, he's rich, you know, and he flaunts it. But he also like talks a lot about how he believes luxury fashion is really the most sustainable thing that you can purchase, because these items will be around probably for 100 years. You can fix a pair of $1,200 shoes 5 times and resole them and they won't fall apart. You can give a $10,000 leather jacket to your great-grandchildren probably, and it will still be around.
Yeah, and I think it comes down a lot to like just having a point of view and not just buying luxury for the sake of buying luxury. Like we had also talked about, like just because you bought Chanel loafers because you saw Hailey Bieber wearing them, like that doesn't help me. Your POV in no way influenced me. You got that from Hailey Bieber. You have money that I don't have. That doesn't help me. Right. Again, I followed you for beauty, so what is this? Like,
I think it's a tough balance, and I think it's something that influencers are going to continue to run up against, especially as younger and younger creators are becoming more successful and their lives are changing more. That like, I do think you probably have 3 to 6 months where your audience is just happy for you and celebrates it. And it'll be interesting even with Emma now to see like how it goes. But like, can any creator survive while being like very publicly wealthy and not have people turn against them? Because it seems like there is this increasing tide to just like hate celebrity. Is this something you're feeling? This like general pushback against celebrity and like against that whole culture?
yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely like there's so many levels to this. Yes, I think part of it is like Gen Z is so vocal about their social stance and being like, eat the rich, fuck the rich, whatever. But also part of it can come from a place of jealousy or like, why does this person have so much money? But also part of it can be like, why are we supporting capitalism? And then someone else is like, there's no ethical consumption under capitalism. So it's like, there's so many levels to this. But yeah, I do think part of it is that, because I do feel like if we were, I don't know, looking back 50, 70 years or something, it was like people wanted to be rich. People voted in the mindset that they were rich even when they were poor because they wanted to believe that they would be rich. But now it's more like,
right.
No.
It's like how Americans will vote for tax cuts for the wealthiest because a lot of them believe that will be me.
Right.
Feel free to vote that way, by the way, everyone.
More.
I mean, I got $80 socks on. What the am I saying, you know? I could do a whole episode on knee-high dress socks from France.
That'll really make you lose followers. Yeah. They're like, this guy.
Anyway, let's keep tracking this. I feel like we could do this in a year and we can see how it goes. I believe Emma can make it happen. I think she's great. Yeah. I think she approaches it in the right way. I think she centers her content like in what her audience wants. She isn't braggy. And I think it's not that hard. I think it's really, to your point, be interesting, have a point of view, don't forget your audience, and ask yourself before you post, am I bragging? Or is this something I think my audience will find interesting? And if you're bragging, it's best to just not do it, because it's awesome that you're successful. Congratulations, that's sick. Shoving it in people's faces over and over again is a great way to get them to hate you. And Gen Z's coming for you. Like, nobody wants that, right? Like, I hope Gen Z never finds out I exist. That would be awesome. Like, if I could just exist outside of Gen Z's knowledge, that would be fantastic for me, I think, because I don't think I would survive. Thank you so much.
Thanks
as
for having
always.
me.
And as always, if friends ask questions, subscribe, like, all of that, and tell Emma we talked about her for 40 minutes or something. She should be engaging in this conversation. Welcome to come on to
I was
the
gonna
show.
say, she loves New York.
You love New York. Come on in. Aaron will get you a discount at Tom Brown. Not that you couldn't get it yourself. See you next week.
My review of Don't Worry Darling, I'm gonna put a disclaimer that I'm a die-hard Harry Styles fan, which means that I'm a Pooh Bell fan of Olivia Wilde. I don't like her for no reason whatsoever. I think that's some internalized misogyny on my part. But my review of Don't Worry Darling is that it was entertaining. It was beautifully done. I loved looking at Florence Pugh because who doesn't? Completely lost me in Act 3. There were just so many things introduced that had no way of tying in with each other. I can't tell if it was purposefully left open to interpretation or just bad writing. I'm gonna go with bad writing. If anyone understands what the planes were, hit my line.
You could go bad directing.
It was bad directing. It was bad rewrites of an original screenplay, and it was bad directing, and the director did not create a safe environment for its actors. So that's the tea. Let me know in the comments what you thought about Don't Worry Darling. See you next time.